I just wanted to say hi to
Shut up. Face the wall. Turn around. Turn around.
Joe Rogan's reaction to the circulating rumors about...
Yeah.
And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And just guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was in.
But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
Jake Paul's alleged arrest over claims of scripting boxing fights has been extremely intense, and he is absolutely not holding back. Rogan delivered a very serious warning, emphasizing as strongly as possible that no career achievement, no matter how prestigious, famous, or financially rewarding it may appear, is ever worth risking your actual life. He made it clear that this is not some abstract or exaggerated idea, but a real and very tangible danger. Rogan repeatedly stressed that the risks inside a boxing ring are brutally real, unavoidable, and should never be taken lightly or brushed aside as something that could never happen to you. According to multiple reports spreading throughout the combat sports community, Rogan firmly believes that Paul needs to seriously rethink his choices and the direction he is heading before even considering stepping into the ring again. The harsh reality, as Rogan sees it, is that chasing fame or money through extremely dangerous fights, especially those that could be manipulated or scripted in reckless ways, is simply not worth the long-term consequences that could follow you for the rest of your life. Or worse, end it altogether.
You don't know what the fuck you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And
Joe Rogan doubled down on his message with raw intensity, making it clear that boxing is an extremely dangerous sport at its core, and continuing to fight in such a reckless way can realistically lead to severe, life-altering consequences that cannot simply be undone or walked back. He pushed the seriousness even further by issuing a stark warning that getting involved in illegal activities or taking part in scripted fights could expose a fighter to serious legal action. This goes far beyond simple damage to reputation, as Rogan stressed that these are real legal consequences that could completely derail everything a fighter has worked to build. He was absolutely clear on this point, leaving no room for confusion. Life is real. The punches are real. The damage is real. And once something goes catastrophically wrong inside that ring, there's no reset button and no easy way to fix the consequences that follow.
In there against Anthony Joshua, at the very least, do you think that you guys can move on from that? Like, that won't follow you?
No, I don't. I actually, our lawyers are actively going after a number of people. One who claims to be a lawyer himself online. I don't remember the name or the handle, but it was something that had like 200,000 likes. And basically this post said there was an agreement for AJ not to knock out Jake, but AJ disregarded the agreement and decided to not get his payday, but knock out Jake Paul. So it's pretty astonishing what people say. Your dear friend Lou DiBella, saw him put up a bunch of ridiculous things and even said, Nikisa, go ahead and sue me. But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
And so for the people, again, just to clear this up, because I asked Eddie this question, I'll ask you the exact same question. Once and for all, was there any sort of arrangement as far as it should go this many rounds? Because that's the one that I've heard. Oh, Anthony agreed to 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Can you tell us in black and white if there were any talks of any kind between the network, the promotion, the fighter?
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but they were...
Now this is where things take an interesting turn, because Nikisa Badirian stepped forward to officially clarify that neither Jake Paul nor anyone connected to his team engaged in any form of wrongdoing or made any attempt at all to rig or script the fight in any way, shape, or form. He directly addressed the widespread rumors that have been rapidly exploding across social media, including claims suggesting the bout with Anthony Joshua was somehow scripted or predetermined, calling those accusations completely false and entirely without merit. According to Nikisa's detailed statement, people online have been making astonishing and wildly exaggerated claims that seem to have taken on a life of their own, including a viral post alleging there was a secret agreement in place for Joshua not to knock out Paul. He explained clearly and in detail that Joshua fought genuinely, authentically, and decisively through every single round, fully ignoring any supposed arrangement being pushed by conspiracy theorists. Nikisa emphasized with firm conviction that Jake trained relentlessly, competed with everything he had, and took very real risks every moment he was in the ring against a legitimate world-class opponent. He also made it clear that legal action is actively being pursued against specific individuals spreading these demonstrably false narratives across multiple platforms. For Nikisa, issuing this clarification is crucial to protecting the hard-earned reputations of Jake and his entire team, making it unmistakably clear to fans, critics, and skeptics alike that the fight was completely legitimate, entirely unscripted, and that any suggestion of a fixed or predetermined outcome is baseless, unsupported, and rooted purely in speculation and conspiracy thinking.
Ducks, the little boy actor that got strung out on drugs, and all his fronts and all his teeth were missing from being on meth or whatever, whatever drug of choice he was on. There's no coming back from that. The people who like dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get like a second set. So if I'm not mistaken, the dude from Mighty Ducks, somebody like he's been clean and they gave him a makeover and he has like pretty much fake teeth. So yeah, the teeth are going to be cooked. Now, I agree with the other part that Rogan was saying, but let's keep going.
Yeah, I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen. Yeah. And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this. I'm not giving no props for a person who says I am a real deal boxer because I went in and get smashed and got my jaw broken, but I lasted longer than Ngannou. But I was crazy enough to try, because to be honest, we're way past the honeymoon stage with a person like Jake Paul. You've been in this for long enough to go through fight camps, dedicate your time, effort, energy, money, spar with people. You spar with some quality names because you have resources and money or whatever. So we're well past that, to the point where you just get credit for stepping in. You maybe got credit your first fight or whatever, first couple of fights, for coming from your background. And
building on that foundation, it's important to focus on what Joe Rogan has said directly to Jake Paul, because he has already delivered an extremely stern warning, making it clear that Jake should never do anything this reckless again. Rogan strongly urged him to seriously rethink taking on these high-risk boxing matches that place him in genuine danger, emphasizing with undeniable intensity that no career milestone, no matter how impressive it looks on paper or how much money it brings in, is ever worth risking your actual life. He has repeatedly stressed that the dangers inside the ring are very real, pointing to traumatic brain injuries, permanent physical damage, and even potentially fatal outcomes. Rogan warned that chasing staged fights or stepping in with dangerous opponents purely for fame or financial gain can lead to serious, irreversible consequences that go far beyond a single bad night. The message could not be clearer. Safety and personal responsibility must come first for any fighter, regardless of celebrity status, popularity, or social media following.
I'm going to break him down, and then I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it'd be all over within 3 rounds. But, when I got in the ring after, because I was shouting, just, anywhere, arms. I got in, he went, what are you rushing me for? And I was like, oh, sorry. So, but like, obviously he knows what he's doing, and actually now quite pleased that we got the rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you said that. Really random, I was on Twitter and I saw Jake Paul's mum said she wants to get in the ring and punch you. She said she doesn't like the smug look on your face. She is promoting her book, so I'm not sure if she wants, But did you see that? What did you think of that?
No, I was very sad, because I couldn't have been nicer and more respectful of Jake and what he's done. And I think Logan's amazing. I think he's an incredible athlete. And I shook Jake Paul's dad's hand in the ring, you know. And if I would have seen Mum, I would have said, all right. But I think over the years, we've obviously had our beef, and she probably don't like me anyway. And I am probably a little bit smug. I wasn't smug after the fight because I would have been more smug if it was all over in a round.
Matthew Stern, however, offered a thoughtful and detailed breakdown of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, carefully highlighting the precise planning and strategic discipline behind every calculated move inside the ring. He explained at length that the bout unfolded exactly according to a well-designed game plan, with Joshua's team intentionally choosing patience and controlled aggression over reckless, wild punches that could create unnecessary openings. From the very start, the strategy was to systematically test Jake Paul's abilities, gradually expose his weaknesses, and push the limits of his stamina and conditioning before unleashing decisive, powerful strikes at the right moments. Stern emphasized that this measured, calculated approach represents professional boxing at its highest level, where long-term success depends on discipline, timing, and tactical execution, rather than relying solely on raw power or chance. According to his analysis, every phase of the fight was deliberately structured to control the pace and positioning while steadily asserting dominance round after round. This method clearly demonstrates how strategy, preparation, and ring intelligence often outweigh physical strength when determining outcomes. In Stern's expert assessment, the approach not only secured victory from a tactical standpoint, but also showcased the true art of boxing as a disciplined, intelligent contest where calculated decisions define champions and separate experienced professionals from relative novices still learning the craft.
Own credibility, I've got to knock you out, but I've got to try and knock you out where I'm not hurting you as much as what I could if I unleashed. Yeah. And with the punch you said that he landed, it's not his best punch, his most powerful punch, right? Yep. And he's shattered his jaw in 2 places, right? So Anthony Joshua gets his 70 million, whatever it is. But I think he's sitting there thinking, thank God for that. Thank God. On a human level, I've come out, all right, I've sort of, not reputation, but I haven't hurt him as bad as what I could have.
There should be an awful amount of people breathing a massive sigh of relief. Anybody that put that fight together, athletic commissions, like you said.
It wasn't a fight.
No, it wasn't at all. Like you said, it was a prize fight. It was an event. If Anthony damages him, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of stress to deal with, you know what I mean? So I'm sure he's bleeding inside of relief. The team that have put him in there, that have negotiated that for him, but the authorities that put that on and commissioned it as a proper boxing match, I've no doubt.
Does that go on his... Because
yeah, it's a professional boxing.
Do you know what? If I was Anthony Joshua, I would be saying, I don't want that on my record. Well, but for the credibility of them putting the fight on, they would have said to him, no, we've got to say this. It's been commissioned. It's going to be a proper fight. And I found it... I love my boxing, but I just find the whole thing really, really unedifying. You said about get followers. You mentioned Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is nowhere near his level of getting like a British title fight or whatever. Nowhere near. So it's basically he's like...
Beat Jake Paul.
Well, beat Jake Paul. But so
but what I'm saying is that's 100. I stand by that, and I think Tommy would admit that. You know what I mean? To become a British champion is a very prestigious thing to do.
Adam Ketterall entered the discussion with a direct and candid assessment of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, offering an analysis that did not shy away from uncomfortable truths. He highlighted what he sees as a growing imbalance in modern boxing, where popularity and social media influence are increasingly driving major matchups instead of genuine skill and competitive merit. Ketterall argued convincingly that Jake Paul's rapid rise in professional boxing is largely fueled by his massive online following and established celebrity status, rather than proven technical ability or meaningful in-ring experience against elite opponents. According to his detailed breakdown, even while Anthony Joshua was clearly restraining his full power and holding back his most destructive combinations, he still demonstrated exceptional control, precise timing, and near-surgical accuracy throughout the fight, landing punches that caused real damage and exposed just how wide the gap in class truly was between the two fighters. This obvious contrast sparked widespread speculation that certain elements of the bout may have been influenced by external pressures and commercial interests, rather than purely sporting considerations and competitive integrity. Rumors circulated within boxing circles, suggesting that Jake Paul may have attempted to manage or influence the pace and flow of the match to reduce personal risk and protect his brand image. These concerns reflect a broader issue within celebrity boxing, where spectacle and entertainment often take priority over authenticity and legitimate competition. Ketterall's observations strongly underscore how these hype-driven events can distort the core values of the sport, shifting focus away from skill, strategy, and tradition, and placing marketability and entertainment value above the principles that have long defined professional boxing.
We sometimes think, although I don't really co-sign on that. Let me make the point. The first point is, I think people are overreacting a little bit. People were suggesting when I got on social media that this was like the biggest farce they'd ever seen in their life, and that this was, how could he fight like this, and this was a disaster, and Joshua should have got him out there earlier. There is probably some evidence to suggest that I don't think Joshua was carrying him in the sense of, hey, they coordinated this ahead of time. But was Joshua really stepping on the gas? No, I don't think he was really stepping on the gas. There were times I think he clearly pulled his punches, partly because Jake was squirmy and rotating on the outside. Also in part because I think, as I indicated on Friday, he's watching this guy with pretty bad footwork. He was literally tripping over himself, and he realized he just can't keep this up. So there was that. But people were acting like, how could this be? How could this have happened? Guys, on Friday's MK, and then before that, earlier in the week on Submission Radio, they asked me on Submission Radio, how do you think he's gonna fight? And I'm like, he's gonna run. And they're like, you don't think he's gonna clinch? I'm like, okay, he'll clinch at times, but then the rest of the time, he's going to run. What?
Sam Jones delivered a candid and completely unfiltered reaction to the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight that echoed what many hardcore boxing fans were thinking, stressing that the bout was genuinely difficult to watch from start to finish, not because of thrilling back-and-forth exchanges, but because of the glaring technical shortcomings on display throughout the contest. He pointed out bluntly that Jake Paul struggled with fundamental boxing skills that any serious professional should have mastered long ago, including basic defensive habits such as proper head movement, maintaining a disciplined guard, effective footwork and positioning, and responding correctly and on time to Joshua's combinations. These repeated technical lapses created a constant sense of imbalance during the fight, repeatedly highlighting the clear and undeniable gap in experience, skill level, and overall ring IQ between the two fighters. Analysts and observers watching closely also noted that certain moments appeared almost choreographed or rehearsed, as if the action had been subtly guided to prevent either fighter from facing unnecessary danger or ending up in a situation that could cause real trouble. While Jones acknowledged that Jake Paul clearly put in significant training time and effort to prepare for the fight, and did not question his dedication, he argued that the obvious mismatch in natural talent and ring intelligence, combined with the perceived hints of scripted pacing and predetermined sequences, contributed to a viewing experience that felt uneasy and uncomfortable for fans who were expecting genuine competition and authentic sporting drama. Ultimately, the fight highlighted the inherent risks of blending celebrity appeal and social media influence with professional-level boxing, showing how spectacle and entertainment can overshadow true skill and authenticity, leaving devoted fans questioning the legitimacy of contests where performance and entertainment intersect so openly.
Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there, and he was moving as such. He was staying away from him. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this athletic contest, and then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again. He was fighting. Then it turns to where he can't stay away anymore. So now he's got to go the other way. He's got to go forward. So now he's clinched him. Now he's dropping down to his knees. He's going below the waist. He's getting to double leg positions. He was fighting. These guys were Jake was fighting for his survival, and you could so see it. You could see this animal who's been caged and is just trying to make it through, not even kill its prey, just make it through. And it was incredible. It was really incredible. So on the back end, some of the comments that I made or that I had heard were so confusing to me. It was a very good competition. I will tell you, it breaks my heart too that Anthony Joshua can't get him out of there in one round. Dave Portnoy had made a comment before the fight. He said, I like Jake. I wish well for Jake. Of course I'm taking Joshua. And then Portnoy made his point. And he said, because I believe in boxing. This isn't if I'm cheering for Jake or if I think that Joshua is more experienced or better. I believe in I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times.
Shah Sonnen delivered pointed criticism of the entire matchup, stressing with genuine concern that fights like this are far too risky to take place under what would be considered normal competitive conditions in boxing. He described the contest vividly, suggesting it felt less like a legitimate competition between skilled athletes and more like a desperate struggle for survival, where both the physical stakes and reputational consequences were dangerously high for everyone involved. Sonnen highlighted with urgency that when inexperienced fighters step into the ring with elite professionals who have spent decades perfecting their craft, they are placing themselves in genuinely life-threatening situations that could lead to permanent injury or worse. The rumored scripting involvement by Jake Paul, combined with these high-risk matchups that arguably should not have been sanctioned, only magnifies the broader issues now evident in celebrity boxing. From Sonnen's perspective, the growing culture of mixing celebrity status and social media influence with professional sport carries significant risks, not only to the integrity and reputation of boxing as a legitimate athletic competition, but also to the safety of participants in ways previous generations of the sport would never have tolerated. Analysts noted that Jake Paul's approach in certain key moments appeared unusually cautious, raising questions about his intentions and what was really happening in the ring. While some viewed this caution as a smart, prudent strategy for someone operating well beyond their experience level, others speculated that parts of the fight seemed almost choreographed, designed to allow Joshua to dominate without exposing either fighter to extreme risk or creating chaotic situations. This aligns with persistent rumors that Paul may have tried to shape the pacing and specific sequences of the match to protect himself while maximizing entertainment value for the massive audience. In the end, these fighters were not engaging in what most would recognize as a traditional boxing match. That wraps up today's coverage, and with all the drama surrounding this controversial fight, stay tuned, because more developments are surely on the horizon.